Happy Mother's Day, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you've had a brilliant weekend. Today, you're going to need a chair to take your weight on. So again, it doesn't need to be a chair, just something to put your weight on. And we're going to quickly do a little upper body session. It's just like a wee warm up just to get us going. So I'm going to do my kneeling, so I don't have to stand up, but you can do your standing. So we'll do that first. So all we're going to do is we're going to take the band about shoulder height, okay, so about shoulder height, and about just over shoulder width, depending on the strength, tension of your band, and we're going to pull it back. Now make sure when you're pulling it pulling it apart, that you're squeezing your shoulder blades together at the back. If you don't have a band, you can still do it without a band. You can just do it freestyle, but you could just grab a towel and do an isometric where you're just trying to pull it apart, but squeeze those shoulder blades together. Okay, so squeezing the shoulder blades together is essential for all of them. That's more than 10. Chuck it on a diagonal, pop it on a diagonal, and then diagonally, so it's both to 45, 10, 9, 8, squeeze it, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Opposite diagonal, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then what we're going to do is we're going to hold it a little bit closer, and we're going to tuck our elbows in. What we're going to be doing is pulling that apart and holding it apart. But make sure that when you hold it apart, your elbows don't come away. So keep those elbows tucked in. All we're going to do is hold it for 10 seconds. So hold it apart, tuck the elbows in. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. It looks like you're all doing it correctly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Then we're going to do those banded dislocations. I don't know how to chair. So a bit wider this time. Again, it depends on the length, flexibility of your band. So we're going to bring it over, touch your hips, and bring it back. So that's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, I went a bit tight on that one. 1. Brilliant. Chuck that to the side. That was improvised. I didn't plan to do that, but we've done it anyway. Hop up. We're going to quickly do some hip circles. I shall just raise that a wee shade. That will do. So just some quick hip circles, guys. Trying to explore all the corners of that circle. I kind of talked about that before. Obviously, I just didn't even think circles don't have corners, but you know what I mean? You're just getting all the way out into the corner of the hip joint. Make sure you're exploring it. And then let's reverse that. So for me today, this right hip, it's a bit stiff, a bit tight. Been in the car today, went for a little bit of drive. Probably not done as much movement today as I would normally do. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's because we've done 2 days in a row of side split type stuff. My hips don't like going that way, so they're just feeling it. So it's just to be mindful, pay attention to where we're at. Let's do that hip hinge. Fantastic. So we've got our chair. We're going to use that to double up for someone else. So I'm actually going to pop that little bit of foam on the back of this as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop our foot onto that chair, and you can kind of go wherever you like. Okay, so you may want to have it here, or you might want to have it up here. Depends how flexible you are. Ideally, you see the toes, they're not pointing up, they're pointing forwards because that's going to then be more adductors. Likewise, ideally, don't turn that foot out. Try and have both feet facing forwards, ideally. If you're going to turn your toes up, it's going to bias it towards your hamstrings, which isn't what we're looking to do. So let's try and have those toes forward. Then all we're going to do is we're going to do muscle release in a position of restriction. So this gets restricted. So we're going to squeeze down into the chair. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then just relax. Remember, it's quite a gentle contraction. Don't have to squeeze hard. Pushing down again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Feel free to have like a little kind of move around in between. We're trying to mobilize in the position of restriction. So if that means you've got to move your foot or your hips around to find it, that's cool. Okay, pushing down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. And then the fourth one, pushing down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. We're going to keep there just for sort of 10 seconds or so afterwards, get the in and out breath, get totally relaxed, let the hip relax off a wee bit. Brilliant. Bring that foot off, go to the other side, and just flip that around. What I can do is move. Pop it up there. You probably find it's easier to pop it on with your toes pointing up because it's easier to lift your leg that way, and then turn it over. And make sure it's not just your ankle you're turning over, turn the knee over, okay? So you're rolling that hip. It will make the hip do that kind of action there. So once you get in position, move around a little bit, find that position of restriction, and then push down. So what I'm actually imagining doing is I'm just squeezing my legs together, just gently, holding that for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. So I'm getting that nice exhale in between. As my hips relax, I'm just going to move my position around a little bit. Okay, so there's just the wee sticky part. So I want to release that, pushing down into the chair. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. So, as I was saying before, this can be a chair, it could be the sofa, it could be the arm of the chair, it could be a bed, it could be a kitchen worktop. I actually sometimes do this when my kitchen worktop is a wee bit higher. I have to do a bit of stretch first to get up there. Okay, pushing down. So it's just something, anything, that takes you out towards end range, where you get a wee bit of restriction, and then we release it. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. And for some of you guys, this is going to be loads easier. For some of you guys, it's going to be really quite challenging. Okay, last one, pushing down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. And again, we're going to spend about 10 seconds here, just letting it, now that it's done its contract, relax. Let's it stretch out, let's you get used to it a wee bit. Cool. Come back to the other side. This time, what we're going to do is we've got to activate, so we just released this inner thigh, now we've got to activate this. So, a couple of options, either do the same height or you might need to go lower. So if you were kind of at your maximum up here, you're not going to be able to easily lift your foot off without leaning, okay? So if you're up there and you're having to lean to lift that off, you're not really lifting the leg. You're leaning and that's what's lifting it up. So find a point, and for me it's probably going to be down here lower, toes facing forwards, and without leaning, I want you to lift it up. Okay, we're just going to lift and hold for 10 seconds. So lift, 10, 9, 8, 7, don't let the toes face up, 6, 5, 4, Feel it. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Other side. So if you had to lean away massively, just lower it down a wee bit. Okay, so get the toes facing forwards. You will need to lean a wee bit, and then so lift it up. 10, 9, knees and toes forward. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. We're going to use the back of the chair now for a little bit of balance. So you don't actually need the chair for this bit, but you're just going to find it a little bit easier. I'll move it to the side so you can see my hip. Feet are facing forwards. We're going to do a dynamic leg raise. Okay, not a swing, a raise, but we're going to try and lift it, keeping the toes facing forward the whole time. As it comes out, it will want to rotate up because your hip has got a greater range of movement that way. Don't let it. Keep it side on. So here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right, other side. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So well done on that one, guys. That isn't easy. Just watching the videos along the top. A wee tip for this one. Start fast, then go slow, rather than going slow and then fast. So if you go slow and then fast, you get that pulse up to the top. So go fast and then go slow. Okay, so lift it up and then lift it. So every guy try that 2 or 3 times. Lift it up about halfway and then lift it. And you, wherever it is, you should be able to hold it there for 2 or 3 seconds. If you're unable to hold it and it drops down, you are swinging it. Okay, so just a wee tip to allow you to get a wee bit further. So I'm going to turn the chair towards me this time. I'm going to use the mat. What we're going to do is we're going to use this to go out and straddle. So we're going to pop our hands on it. And I'm just going to come out. I've got my hands here on the sides of the chair. I'm just using that to take my weight. I'm not massively low yet, but I'm just using it so that I can get a decent little stretch. Majority of the weight in my hands. I'm keeping my hips quite close to the chair. So if I turn that side on for just for a second, I'm not like this, where I'm hinged forwards. The way I want you to be is feet in line with your hips and shoulders. Okay, so you need to get your hips tucked in like that. So that's basically the position I was there, facing the camera a second ago. Most of the weight is kind of through my hands. It's just giving me a wee chance to acclimatise and kind of relax. You will see that there's a wee bit of hinge forwards, but it's different to that kind of position. We're going to do some of that, but what I want you to do first of all is one of these. We're just going to hold that for a wee second. And you'll find, hopefully, that once you're in this position for 20, 30 seconds or so, your arms will get a bit tired, obviously, but the muscles of your legs should just kind of relax off if you haven't gone too deep too quick. If you've gone too deep too quick, what's going to be happening is your adductors, your inner thigh muscles are probably screaming at you right now, going, oh, a bit deep. Okay, and what I want you to do is just kind of creep that down a wee bit. You might get to the point you've kind of got to do this, and you will then eventually hinge forwards, but we don't want to start in that position. And I'm keeping myself as upright as I can kind of manage. So get the hips in a wee bit. And we're just using this as a kind of, it's kind of a static passive. It's also a wee bit static active, because even without knowing it, your inner thigh muscles are contracting a wee bit because they're going, well, if we let go, you're going to fall butt first to the floor. So it's a nice little kind of blended technique. And if you've got enough weight in your arms, you should be able to wait and get rid of the stretch reflex, let it relax, and then be able to go in it again. So only about a 4 out of 10 at the minute. I'm not, uncomfortable here. I can hang out here for a wee while. Other than it's a wee bit challenging on my arms, but if you don't have a chair like this, you've just got your arms on the sofa. If you don't have a chair at all, you are going to have to put your hands on the floor, or just hold it into, this position to a point where you can manage it. So you can see there, like all I've done is I've started up here, and as my legs have gone out further and further, it gets a bit hard on the hands. So I just kind of dropped onto my elbows, and I'm just using this as a kind of little comfortable, relaxed position. My toes, can't really see them. They're just pointing wherever they naturally want to go. So for some of you guys, the toes are going to be pointing up, some of it will be 45, and some of them might be like all the way forwards. There's no really a right or wrong there. I can turn myself around, you might see me. I'll give you guys a couple of different views of it. So what typically happens is I go down further, my toes start lifting up a wee bit, but I'm just there. So I'm the same as was before, I've got my arms crossed, chilling out here, taking the majority of the weight through my body. You can see there's still, a bit of play in there. Right, cool, long enough. Bring it on in. Shake it off, have a wee second. I'm not going to faff about with the camera, so all I'm going to do is just quickly do some hip circles, let that recover, let that relax. I'll just turn the heater off because it's getting really, really warm in here now. So I can get my hands on the floor. So I'm going to put my hands on the floor for this next one, which means I'm more in that hip hinge position. If you can't reach the floor, a couple of cushions, pillows, bolsters, whatever it is that you need to be able to hinge forward. So it might just be, grab my trusty foam roller. I wouldn't necessarily advise doing it with something that's round, it's going to roll, but it's going to allow you to just be a bit higher. But if you didn't need it, come on out. So don't rush, just get out there a wee bit and then camp out for a wee minute. And two options here, feet on the mat or feet off the mat. If you've got your feet on the mat, you'll probably find that you don't slide out quite as far, quite as quick, which can be quite good. But if you're quite comfortable with it, towards the end, it's quite nice to have your feet slide out a little bit. So sometimes you'll see me, I do it with socks on the laminate, so that my feet want to slide out the entire time. It does make it a bit challenging, but that's a good thing if you're ready for it. So again, don't go too deep too quick, just come out to a position. If you sort of look at what's happening here, if I've done that, see that's kind of your frog position. So now you're starting to see like, why is these frogs so important? You're getting a lot of stretch, a lot of mobility around about that area. And then we're just kind of doing it essentially on both sides. My ankle's bugging me tonight. This one over here, not able to let it go out. So we're just trying to accumulate a bit of time in this position because you're having to prop yourself up. This is a bit more active, this one, so we're building a bit of strength into those adductors and those hamstrings at the same time. Prop myself up a wee bit. Oh, that's nice. So my hips are still the same height, but I've managed to get my body up a little bit. So change it up. Downside of having your feet on the hard floor, gets achy on your ankles, on your heels, right? So if you need to play around with that. Nearly there, guys. 1 hour, 2 minutes. I'm just kidding. Okay, if you can, because I know you love it, sit back down. Wow. And then we're just going to sit into that for a wee second. Right, this has presented itself, so I'm going to use it. I'm going to lean forward and use that for a bit of lean. Yeah, just relax. So a little bit more intense. It's a bit like when we start ramping up that front split. The intensity definitely goes up, becomes a bit more challenging. It sort of doesn't matter how flexible you are, unless you're all the way to 100%, 180 degrees, and you can get all the way down, and it gets a bit easier. But whilst we're developing it, it's still kind of challenging. So hopefully you feel as though you've stretched and opened up, and then we're able to sit in this position. What I tend to find is that my feet aren't trying to do this thing where they're trying to close. Because they've been loaded with my body weight, they're kind of stretched out enough that I can comfortably usually stay in that position. So try and get a decent position. Doesn't have to be crazy, but sounds like somebody's in the building, which is quite scary because I'm the only person in. Hearing footsteps, which is weird. The landlord must be downstairs. Either that or this building is haunted, which is an old mill. Maybe it is. I get bloody frightened of my life if anything happened. I hear car doors outside. I'm safe. It's not a ghost. So we're just enjoying that stretch. Hopefully it's a decent position for you, but nothing too crazy. Cool. What we're going to do, just to spice it up a wee bit, is I want you to squeeze your glutes. Okay, so if you need to put your hands back here or wherever, you're going to squeeze them tight. Hold that for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Relax for a few seconds. Okay, this time we're going to squeeze the quads. You might want to pull your toes back a wee bit. So get a nice deep position. You might be open up a bit further. Okay, squeeze those muscles, pull your toes back if you can. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Okay, let's turbocharge the last one. We're going to squeeze our glutes and the muscles on the top of the leg. Top tip, squeeze your glutes first, because they're a prime mover. They should contract first before anything else. So squeeze your glutes, then squeeze the legs, then pick your toes up. So squeezing everything. 10, 9, 8, 7, hard 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Whoa. So we just squeezed the antagonist, the opposite muscles. So that should help relax the adductors and hamstrings. Great stuff, guys. When you're ready, come on out of it. If you're happy, you can always carry on for a wee bit longer. But that was